I just found out that I got selected as one of the speakers at TEDx Manitou Springs, and I was overflowing with emotion. I'm just so excited for this. I got a chance to meet a couple of the speakers that have also been selected, Heather and Raj, and I'm looking forward to knowing them. I met the speakers coaches, which will be so cool to work with Robert and David. Meeting Mickey, David, Kim, and Robert, just amazing to be part of the executive committee. Kind of giddy right now. This is going to be awesome. This conference at TEDx, it's September 25th in Manitou Springs, Colorado, and just amazing. I'm kind of foggy and giddy right now. I'm just super excited for this, and yeah, check it out. It's going to be amazing. So I'm super grateful to the team. I'm going to connect one of the videos I submitted as part of my application if you want to see what that was like, because I've always wondered, and so you can check that out too. But I just feel tremendously grateful and pumped. Hi, I'm Dr. Rob McKenna, and I am the CEO and founder of Wild Leaders. And I am just so grateful for the opportunity to introduce myself to you and have you consider me as a speaker in your TEDx conference. And I love the theme you've chosen around movement. What an important time to be doing that. I've spent my career, 25 years, in what I describe as a bivocational role, where I've been a university professor and department chair in industrial organizational psychology and graduate programs, and also been a business leader and someone working closely with large corporations and nonprofits and family-owned businesses and government agencies and higher ed. So I've had a chance to do all that kind of work. And one of the things that is a deep, deep passion of mine is the importance of what I describe as whole and intentional leader development, that we could do a better job of seeing people and understanding how to leverage that decades of research on the real and gritty developmental story of leaders to help leaders as we move forward. And in this last season, it's been an amazing time for me, because on January 8th, 2020, if you do the math, Wild Leaders and our impact had begun to grow. And so I came to a point where after 25 years, I left my role in higher ed. And then you know what happened after that is, as Wild Leaders was serving leaders across all kinds of industries and spaces and contexts, then COVID happens. And COVID was interesting because it's not old news, because what I'm hoping is we take forward what we've learned in this time. And so we ended up moving toward, we already had a lot of virtual capacity, but then it was like that's all that people would do. So we were architecting spaces where people could get real with one another and to express more of their whole selves and express some of their wild journey and actually develop their own leader capacity. And so during this season, I feel like we've had a front row seat to maybe 200 leaders a week, which has been amazing. If you think about what virtual kinds of applications do, is I'm able to see leaders face to face, as opposed to in the past, even if I was in a room with 50 leaders, it's more difficult to see them. And this last weekend, I had this aha moment when, I've been doing this work for so long, but I stepped out onto the first face-to-face stage in a group with about 1,000 people in the room, and was with another group for a smaller time with about 50 leaders face-to-face in a distance kind of space. And I had this immediate epiphany when I walked on that stage and I had these two bright lights on my face that I could not see the people. For the first time in 14 months, I couldn't see them. And I had to squint my eyes to do that. And my realization was this, that while we struggle with virtual context and virtual kinds of applications and learning and so on, it allowed me to see people, which is back to the original theme, is that if we're going to develop whole leaders, we have to really focus on understand their experience of what it means to lead. The real pieces of that puzzle, as opposed to just telling them what they're good at or what their personality is like, and then pushing them off the leadership dock and saying, go lead, that we could more intentionally invest in a whole person. That is what I am deeply, deeply committed to in this season. And we're in a time in history where we are launching leaders out all the time right now. And we're asking for leaders who bring empathy or compassion, these different kinds of things, but we're not really talking about the preparation of those leaders. I don't really care that much about leadership. I'm just not drawn to that idea that it's a bunch of principles that are somewhere in just pithy kinds of phrases in an airport book. But I am deeply interested in truly investing in developing whole leaders and preparing them for the crucible experiences that we know are coming for them. So I want to just finish with, I hope that doesn't sound too heavy, but it's just something that's on my heart, and it's something that I would put into a pitch. I'm good at that. I love doing it in a TED format, and I think it would be a great and inspiring thing for people to understand regarding movement and change and development. So key. So I want to just finish with, to have you think about your own development journey. And I want to ask you a series of questions that are from that literature base. We know are important for us to be asking as leaders. What would change? What would change if you knew why you're here and what you should do next? Think about your own, if you think about yourself, you'll understand the challenge that leaders are facing. What would change if there was more purpose driving your next step forward? What would change if you communicated more clearly and listened more effectively? What would change if you were applying the lessons from your past experiences? What would change if you understood your unique strengths, skills, and competencies as a leader, the specific things, and your blind spots? What would change for you and other people? What would change if you knew what motivates you? What would change if you were intentionally investing in the growth and development of others? I know these are hard questions. And lastly, what would change if you were surrounded by cheerleaders, mentors, and people who give it to you straight? They're hard questions, but they're wild, they're important questions. And I want to suggest to you that we know the answer to this for ourselves, possibly everything. And so I'm really excited and grateful for the opportunity to even send this video. And if there's a way that this works, if that theme works in the conference, I would love to be there and to be able to help other leaders prepare more intentionally for what's ahead.